Brilliant, brilliant. I was really tickled by it. I think they did a really beautiful job. I think Fallout is very hard to get right. A lot of people have tried. A lot of people can capture the general flavor of it, all these different things. There's a lot of aspects of it that people get. But I think if you're going to do a full blown 8 or 10 episode, whatever it was, arc within the Fallout universe, and you're trying to layer by layer explain the world of Fallout, that which came before and how things are standing now, it's complicated. And I think they nailed it. They got the politics of the 1950s, like they really nailed the politics and like the worldview of like that like imperialist America, the jingoism, the nationalism, the commercialism, the like highly militarized, you know, um, near dictator state of America was brilliantly captured and effortlessly rendered. I thought the art direction was awesome. I thought that I really, really appreciated that they actually really cut down on the number of things they tried to cover. You know, no mention of super mutants. The Enclave was simply mentioned and that was it. Lots of monsters they didn't show. Um, Lots of places they didn't go. They really kept it to a certain number of core story principles, and I think that's why it succeeded. Is it didn't try to do everything, and I just loved it. And I think also the last thing I'll say is that I felt as a developer and as somebody who has handled that material myself, I felt quite respected by the show because they just seemed to take entire art assets out of the games and putting them in the show. It was like they weren't trying to start from scratch and they weren't trying to invent their own thing. They loved the subject matter and they wanted to do justice to it, and that showed. And so I am really grateful that the people who worked on that show did such a good job. The world of The Last of Us is not as dramatic and bold and strange and uniquely defined as the world of Fallout. The world of Fallout is a world. It's like you're selling a place, a time, a feel, a humor, and all these things. And they translated it beautifully into a whole new story.
I thought it was great, which was a nice, change from, I worked at Terminal Valley, right, which had Blood Rain, which had Blood Rain
Yeah,
2,
yeah, yeah, of course.
which is terrible.
Ilya Nazarov, he did a sketch of your cats, right? And it ended
Yeah,
up in this show.
it did.
Yeah.
Uh, Someone sent me that, and I was like, dang, they like, because they obviously could have just like grabbed paintings from Target or whatever, but the all the background stuff was all like from the game. It was amazing. Like the most random small signs from Diamond City that I had. I was like, hey, I see that sign on that shop. Like, it was amazing. It was really weird, honestly. Like, after staring at that stuff literally for a decade and just seeing them being like bolt for bolt accurate on everything.
Yeah, and were you able to just appreciate it as a fan, or were there parts of you that was kind of picking everything out because you'd worked on the games for so long?
I think it made me appreciate it more just because of you could tell how much they cared about it and the attention
Mm.
to detail. And I've always been a big fan of that universe, and to experience something again as a fan, like I had seen some super super early stuff, but it was just like a couple set pictures and stuff. I never saw like early cuts of the show by the time I left or anything.
They got the spirit and the vibe, and they did the really smart thing of not trying to cross every T and dot every I to make it absolutely in match with the games. But they met and exceeded everyone's expectations. Since we're talking a lot about expectations, this it was a great adaptation of a video game, one of the better ones that I've seen, quite frankly. When you look at a project like that, that is not something that's going to make the gaming studio a lot of money. I mean, when you consider selling 25 million copies of a game and hauling in over $1 billion in raw cash, you have expenses and all that. And then you look at what you're going to get in margins on a TV show, they just don't compare. So the amount of money the studio is going to get, that's not why you do that. The reason you do it is for the exposure. So Todd is 100% correct. You don't want to just throw it out there because you're going to make a little bit of money. You want to put it out there to increase your exposure, to make the fans remember how wonderful things are. And they saw it a huge explosion in people playing Fallout 4, and I'm going to guess, I'm not with them, that they had a lot of people buying DLC that hadn't bought it before. And, Creation Club pieces and things like that. So, I imagine that's where they made what money they made off of the show.